Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here on the Hagenstedt map. Let's get back to reliving the glory days. Mid-range stuff gets fed to the cows. If you're running a beef farm, I don't know about dairy farm, I don't know very much about who gets what in the dairy farm. They generally try to balance the diet, they take all the nutrients into account and give them various feed supplements so that each of the milking cows gets the maximum amount. But when you're talking about beef animals, when you're talking about beef cows here in the UK, we don't tend to have the intensive beef farming that you see in other places in the world. We don't stick them all in great big pens and just stuff them full of corn. It's all about the grass feeding. So the animals are fed grass year round. So if you can, they're out on fresh grass. That's ideal. That's what you want. You want them on the fresh grass, eating it themselves. They're doing their own mowing. They're doing their own, it's self-care. It's all about self-care. So if you can do that, if you can have them doing self-care, that's brilliant. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to be going and picking up grass. You don't have to be going and mowing it. You don't have to be storing it. You don't have to be doing any of that. None of that nonsense needs to apply. All you got to do is just have the cows in the field, and they take care of the rest. That's the ideal situation. When it comes to winter, though, we don't have a lot of dry places for them to go, so we tend to stick them inside, and then we give them food. So this is where the silage comes in. So your cows, the ones that are giving birth to your beef animals that you're going to be selling to the market, those have the middle of the line stuff. They don't have the poor quality stuff because they've still got to grow babies and so on, and they've got to produce the milk. But you don't want them. Sometimes you'll mix the two. You'll mix the two lots, or when they're in the later stages of pregnancy, that's when they get. They'll also get some of the better quality stuff. The better quality stuff is usually reserved for the cows that are getting ready, the cattle that are getting ready to go to market. So that's the younger stock. They're almost at the point where they are ready to be taken to the market for slaughter, and you want that meat to be pristine, best quality meat that you can get. You want that fed on the sweetest, most wonderful, luscious, most nutritious grass available, and so they get the first cut silage. They are fed exclusively on the first cut silage, and they don't get any of the other stuff. Now, the young stock, the ones that are, say, up to 2 years old, because it's about 30 to 36 months that the cow goes. So you're approaching 3 years old when they are sent to slaughter. At least I think they are. Now, this is where I could be wrong. It's either 30 or 36 months. I can't remember which. But the animals between 12 months old and 2 years old don't need a lot of supplements. All they need to do is just grow. We just need them to grow at that point. And I have actually run out of space in my combine. So we'll go over here and we'll get this one and we'll run back. At that point, the animals just need to grow. Right? We're not interested in fattening them up. We just want them to get a bigger frame. They're the ones that will have the poorer quality silage. Now, it's not bad quality food. It's not poor food, but it's not the absolute best. If you want the animal to grow fat and sleek, you give them the really good stuff. If you were to give the ones that you're fattening up the poorer quality silage, they would still be ready to go to slaughter. It's just they wouldn't have quite as much meat on them as they would from the absolute best stuff, and so there may be a slight quality hit, but it's marginal. But obviously, if you're a farmer and you've got these 3 different types of silage that are available, you're going to want to maximize the performance of your animals. So the year 1 to year 2, they tend to just get the standard feed with not very much extra, and the cows that have given birth, they're not pregnant, and they may have if they've got a young calf with them and they're producing milk, you do tend to give them a little bit extra, give them supplements and that to help them so that it maintains their quality. So you don't want the cows losing quality either. You don't want the cows losing condition. So you would give the cows a bit extra, but once the calves are starting to be weaned, the cows aren't pregnant yet, or they're in the early stages of pregnancy, they too would also have the slightly poorer stuff and the average stuff. And that's with the year one, from 1 year, well, 6 months old up until about 2 years old. You don't tend to worry too much about stuffing the young stock full of the absolute best you can get. That's what you do in the last 6 months. So that's the ones that get that really, really good cut in that's taken off in May. They get that. Obviously, that level of detail is not going to be coming to this game. So we won't be seeing we won't be seeing in this game 3 different types of silage coming out, and I mean sometimes there's really not a lot of difference between the two. There is maybe between the first two. There's not like a huge difference between the first cut and the second cut. There is some difference, but not so much that it's going to make really any significant changes. The final cut that you take off, that is always, almost always, I really hesitate to use the word always, because we're talking about farmers here, and there's one thing you can always be sure of with farmers. If there's a rule, there's always going to be a large number of farmers that are exception to the rule. And that one I can use it. I can use the word always when I come to the exception to the rule, because there's always farmers that are an exception to any rule out there. That's the one uniting factor that all farmers have got, is that most of them are an exception to a rule of some kind or another. And let's just bring that one in over there and stop that one there. And I will skip up here to this one. And we'll get going with this. We'll deal with the raking in a bit. We won't worry about that just yet. Start that one up. Right. So yeah, there's always going to be farmers that are an exception to the rule, but generally, the first cut is the best one, but sometimes there's not a huge amount of difference between it. If the weather condition, it does really depend on the weather as well. If the weather conditions are right, you can get a pretty good cut on your second cut that will almost match the quality of the silage that you could get from your first cut. Doesn't tend to happen with the final cut. The final cut is almost always a poorer quality silage, and that's the one that you would give to the young stock, like I said, and also to the animals that the cows that they're not heavily pregnant, so they may be in the early stages of pregnancy, and they're also they're not nursing a young animal, anything like that. So all you need to do is maintain condition. You don't need to put on condition. You don't need to give them anything extra to really help them out with anything at that point. So you don't need to worry about them. You just need to maintain them and keep them fed and healthy, and that's where the final cut silage comes in. So it's still good food. It is still good food. It's just not as good as the first one. Just trying to think of a human equivalent to that. It's basically the difference between being given a steak every night. Let's just use the cows as the example, shall we? It's basically the difference between eating steak every night and really getting good quality food from the steak and some decent vegetables and that, to having I don't know, say some, I'm just trying to think what would be an equivalent food. It's not quite so luxurious, it's not quite so perfect for you, but it's still quite nice. I was gonna say steak and hamburgers, but I mean, I guess if you've got some good quality hamburgers, maybe just you know, if you're needing protein and you're just not getting quite enough, maybe like you can maintain the condition that you're in, but you're not going to improve your condition. That's kind of what it is. I guess maybe like bodybuilding or something like would be a thing. If you're not getting enough protein, like you'd need that steak and so on, the protein in order to be able to improve the condition of your body and really start to pile on the muscle, compared to someone who is just eating, say, bread and things like that. You know, the bread and a few vegetables, bit of fruit is enough to maintain the quality of your body. It's enough to maintain your condition. But if you are doing bodybuilding and you're wanting to really pile on weight and you want to build muscle and pile on muscle, you specifically got to have a lot of protein coming in. And I guess that could be sort of a comparison. You're not, with the first cut silage is like the additional protein so that you can really pile on that muscle, and the third cut silage is one where, quite frankly, you're not going to be able to pile on the muscle like you would with the first cut silage. It'll maintain your body condition. It will maintain what you've got already, but it's not necessarily going to help you drastically improve anything at all. That, I think, maybe would be the best comparison on it. Anyway, I need to go back up here, and we'll get this one down, and we'll get started on the last field here. Just make sure that we've got the AI vehicle extension on there, and off you trot. Your own time. There we go. Right, that one is going to go herring off around that field. And I don't know quite how long it's going to take. We have a rough idea from last time, so it's going to be pretty quick. But I'm actually going to stay with it just to watch it. I'm on a new recording session. I've got the feedback basically from if you want me to stop all of these videos the moment I get my grubby little paws onto a copy of FS22. I don't know at the moment if I'll be lucky enough to be allowed to have a copy before the release date. I have no idea about that yet. And I won't be able to tell you anything even if I did know, because that's always kept under lock and key. So even if I do find out, I can't tell you until the video goes live. But what I do know is that it's about half and half on the responses, for some of you wanting me to keep posting FS19 content up until the release date, and some of you wanting me to just stop the FS19 as soon as possible, because a lot of you have about had enough of this version and are keen to move on to the next one. So I will make enough videos to take us up to the end. I was wondering whether or not to do some kind of grand blowout on this, and I've decided against doing that. There won't be a grand blowout. I will just kind of bring things to a close, however, I'm not sure how. And then this series is going to go to the new Elm Creek Map, and there was a preview of that one. That's the US style map. From what I've seen of it, it's flat. Very, very flat. It looks like some sort of bizarre alien landscape to me, because I grew up somewhere where flat is... it just doesn't happen. We don't have flat land. We have it's either uphill or downhill, and very little in between. There's no sort of leveling of the hill in a nice flat area at the top or the bottom. It's either uphill or downhill. We're one of those unique places in the world that doesn't have anything in between, or at least it seems that way when you're working in the fields. So yeah, it's going to be interesting for me seeing this flat world. And I know that there are other places in the UK that do actually have flat land like that. There's some larger areas of the UK that are just miles and miles of flat, and that looks as alien to me as this whole Midwest map. So it's going to be an interesting experience for me. As some of you, though, it will be like a home from home. You will recognize it, it will seem familiar, and you will probably like it. So we're going to be doing this series on there. The Erlingrat series is going to be carrying on with the Erlingrat series, and the time-lapse is moving to France. So we've got everything covered. I'm going to be doing, at least with the US style map, is basically it's going to carry on from this series, so I'm not going to worry about the realism thing, and we will be looking at all of the crops. So there's all kinds of things. We got beekeeping is going to be a thing that we'll be able to go and do, and someone said somewhere that beekeeping might... I didn't actually read all of the details on it, But someone pointed out that bees might actually affect some crop yields. If that's the case, that's really awesome. That is a very interesting mechanic. I don't know if that's a thing or not, so we'll find out about that one. We will see. I'm actually really looking forward to finding out one way or the other. I don't really mind which way it goes. We just need to confirm one way or the other whether or not that is going to be the case. If it is, fantastic. Absolutely amazing little touch in there. If it isn't, well, so be it. We've still got bees. And you do actually have to do stuff with the bees. Like there is a whole load of stuff that you do need to go and do with them, with the various different... It did this before. There's just enough on this corner... Like the actual corner here, there's just enough, like the shape of the field is just such that it completely screws up the AI extension. It really, really doesn't like it. There's something about the shape on this corner that it absolutely cannot cope with. And I don't know why that is. I think it's because it hasn't quite straightened out when it goes around that corner. So when it gets over to here, it's not quite ready to do a proper turn. And that's the bit that completely messes it up. It's very weird. It is very, very weird that it does that. Because it shouldn't. It should just keep going around. That's the setting that I've got it on, is just to keep going around in a circle. So it should, in theory, just come out, lift out, turn, and then go back in again. And off it goes. But it doesn't do that. It kind of does this bizarre twisty-turny thing. I don't know if it's going to do the same here or not. Go out over to there and turn. Right, see, it's not doing it there. It's fine with that bit. But up on the previous one, it's not. It's because it hasn't straightened out properly. That's what it'll be. If I was to remove part of the corner of the field, it might actually work. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it too much. We won't lose any sleep over that one. So anyway, we have done an outside round on there. I have got 240,000 litres of straw. As a few people did point out that we've got some... there are a couple of mods available where I could... I think there was a self-loading mix feeder. An auto-load mix feeder that I could be using. And... I remember it from the comments, I just didn't go and have a look for it. So that kind of thing, I'm not going to worry about now. Like, we've got very little left on this series anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Kind of want to just get, like, a few more crops done. And mostly I think we're going to try and expand the cows. Alright, we will push for cattle expansion before we finish up this series. Now, let's just have a look and see how we're doing in here. We've got the straw pellets in there. I currently have 232,000. So I think I will go over here with this straw. And I'm going to go and buy as many cows as I can with my 232,000. So I'm going to go into here and... go right there, and then we have... what cows do we have? We have the brown and white cows. So we go into here. This is the ones that we own, and we're going to buy some more of them. So move them over like that. 292,000. What I don't... oh, no, 232,000. We got the balance there at the top in small. But what I don't like is it does actually allow you to keep going beyond your limit of money. I guess it does that because it thinks maybe you're going to sell some stuff back. So 232,200 versus 232,600 right there. That gives me... I've now got 477 cows. I don't know how many I had before. I'm not even going to bother going to have a look. But we've got 477. 215,000 in new livestock. 17,000 in other. That must be transportation. But yeah, 215 divided by 2,500. 86. We had 86 new cows. Which now puts us with just $470. Should be euros. I've got it on dollars at the moment because I'm in the middle of recording the time lapse, so I'm not actually going to change that. I'm going to leave it for, it's going to be on dollars the next couple of episodes, because otherwise I forget to change it when I go back to doing the time lapse, and yeah, that looks worse as far as I'm concerned. Every 3 hours and 15 minutes I get a new animal, and we have another one in an hour and a half. Well, that's not doing too bad at the moment. We want to put a bit more straw in. The water is fine at the moment. And total mixed ration, we've finally sort of used up some of it. We've got 212,000 litres of grass in there. And then we got 1.75 million litres of straw. So we don't have any shortages of straw in here. I want to put this in. Reverse back up and tip that right in. Out like that. There we go. Straighten round. There. Okay. We will tip in what we can right in here, and then when we've done that, so that's growing the piles of straw here in the shed. When they have grown all the way to maximum, there we go, we have grown the piles of straw all the way to maximum, we will pull out again, and then we will go over and put the rest in over here, into this shed, and then when we've done that, I don't know if we need to worry about going and getting some more. Let's see how much we've got in here, because we only want to fill this shed up. How much have I got in here already? It should tell me. I can have 500,000 litres in here, which, to be honest, is not a huge amount, but we will get round to straw again. Or, in theory, we would get round to doing straw again before the straw ran out, but the series won't last that long. So, we won't get a full 120,000 litres in there. We've got room for another 80,000. So let's go and get 80,000 litres. There's only 4 bales worth. So we'll rush off with this one. We'll get 80,000 litres. Bring that back and tip it in. And then we've got... well, that's it for that. We want to go and get the baler on, and we want to get that started. And then when we've done the baling, we want to be raking up the grass right here, and we want to be putting that in for the silage so that the fermenters get going. The crop that we're planting this time round is canola, I think. Yes, canola. So we'll be planting some canola in all of these fields here. Go off over to this one. And start... Lower you down. Bring you on round here. Right. There we go. So we want to get the baler going in a minute. We're not going to get the baler going just yet. I'm not even sure how much straw... Like, I don't remember where I've picked up straw and where I've left straw behind. So we have got some straw here. And there is going to be straw somewhere. I just don't really know where it all is. I think I've already gone and cleared one of the field, the big field, the new field down the bottom. The big field, the combine's in at the moment. Obviously, that one, the combine is busy working. And speaking of which, let's go and have a look at that combine and see how it's getting on, shall we? Right, I'm going to let it run up to the end of the field up here, and then I'm going to change it and put it to just straight up and down with the standard hired help in a minute. So just going to get up to this corner, and then I'll make it stop. It went round the corner this time, the second time. It went through that just fine. It was absolutely no issues with it. Didn't seem to have any problems with that. And we will get to there. So let's just bring that on a bit so that it doesn't leave too big a pile of straw behind. Go whizzing on up this way. We should get this whole field into the combine as well. So the Midwest thing, I'm thinking to go through all of the crops. What I'll probably do is we can start off that series by we'll be able to take the opportunity to have a good look at everything that's there. I'm not going to add money in at the beginning of the series. I'm not planning to do that. But what I am planning to do is play that one on easy mode. The time-lapse will be on normal mode. Let me go in here a minute. Turn that one off like that. So this series will be on the easy mode setting, so we get the max, you know, the highest prices. The hardcore series will be on hard difficulty, and the time-lapse series will be on normal difficulty. So we've got a bit of a spread across them, and you can see the various different modes in action, and then we'll be able to, especially with this one, we can sort of move things on a lot quicker. And I'm going to do it like I'm doing it with this one. I'm not going to try and do a mix of crops and have a special crop rotation, anything like that. I am just going to do everything will be one crop, and then we'll move on to the next one. And I'm just going to move along a list. And that's the way that we're going to do it. I'm going to work my way along the list. So I'm also going to be doing all of the crops. So there'll be cotton, there'll be sugarcane, there'll be the root crops, there will be grapes and olives, depending on how those work. I'm not sure how those work. We're also going to need to do poplars if we're going to do that. I'm not sure how long it takes to grow the poplars, but yeah, I'm also planning to do that and see if we can do all of our land with poplar trees, which I think could be interesting. I don't know how well that's going to work out. That could end up being a thing that we just do once and then say never ever 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 again, but at least we will have done it. So there will be that. Right, let's keep going with you. We will start that bad boy up and go whizzing off down here. So the combine is doing just fine. We don't need to worry about it. We are also doing just fine up here. So that field there is all being cleared. Did I pick up everything down the bottom? Because if I did, then I could actually get the planting started now. I've definitely cleared all of that field there in front of us. This one here is mostly going to be cleared. It could end up being that the only field that we actually bale for straw is going to be the big field that the combine's in at the moment. And all the rest of this is just tickety-boo. I don't know what I will do as far as fertilizer and stuff like that is concerned in this kind of play-around series. What I want to do is I do want to kind of work through everything as quickly as possible. I might do a bit to start with where we do go and get a whole load of money and buy just about everything that's available in the shop, so that we can go and have a look at a whole load of the different equipment and machinery that's going to be available. Then we can pick out a few of our favorites, and we can start doing our actual farm work with those. Or, on the other hand, I could just work through them. We could aim to buy a new piece of machinery every in-game day. We have to buy a new piece of machinery, or whether that's replacing a piece of existing machinery with a new one, whether it's an upgrade or just a different style, or we have to, so it's either replacing something or it's just buying something extra. But that could also prove to be a bit of fun. It and gives a chance to really start looking through everything that the game's got to offer, if we are pledging every in-game day to purchase a new piece of machinery. We're also going to have to manage our finances fairly well in order to be able to do that. Either that, or we're going to have to take out one colossal loan in order to be able to cover it. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.